everybody, it's Kaipacha with the weekly Pele-rapport. I could call this one the eclipse report. Dun, 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 dun. We do have a solar eclipse coming next Tuesday, and it is mostly what I'm going to be talking about. But not only that, because it's square to the planet Uranus, down there in the last degrees of Taurus. And, you know, that is exact on Sunday, but building right now, right? The other aspect that I want to be speaking about, of course, is Saturn going into Aries on Friday. Finally. This is like the day I have been waiting for a very long time. Oh my goodness. And Mercury is conjunct the north node of the moon. We know that the eclipses happen on the moon's nodes when the sun and the moon are both within, 10, 12 degrees of the lunar nodes. So this is a north node eclipse, okay? And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that and the difference, between the eclipses. And Mercury is conjunct that north node, and very interestingly enough, right at the very time of the eclipse, Venus is conjunct the north node of the moon. Now that's closer to 9 degrees of Pisces. So the eclipse and the new moon is actually happening in Aquarius, right? At 28 degrees 49 minutes of Aquarius. Right now the moon is in Sagittarius. She's going to be moving into Capricorn tomorrow, passing on through, and on Sunday conjoining with Pluto in Aquarius, and then moving up to those last degrees of Aquarius. Finally, on next Tuesday, right after that eclipse, of course, the moon is going to switch and move into Pisces. So, yeah. Oh, that's a lot to take in. You can look at the chart if you're really into the astrology, but I'm just going to look at the camera and talk at you. All right, everybody. Whoosh! I don't know how long this Pele-rapport is going to be. I got a sore neck. I'm sitting on a hard, wet rock. It could rain any minute. It's cold out here. But I am at the confluence. Can you see back here? This is the North Fork joining together with the Middle Fork of the American River. Super cool. Maybe I can turn the camera a little bit, get a little more of how they join together, come together right now. Ow! Over me. So I feel like this is in the movies or something where they have the police captain gathers together all the police and says, okay, now, here's what we know about the criminal, and he's here and there, and he's got it out. It's a briefing. I mean, this is an eclipse briefing. I want to brief you on what's coming up for the eclipse. Or like a general, or the captain of a SEAL team, those special forces team or whatever. We're going to go into Venezuela and we're going to extricate so-and-so, Okay, here's the plan, right? I mean, it's coming. It's coming, and it's a very powerful time, not just the eclipse. I mean, Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius, in square to this eclipse, brings, and then of course it's a new moon. It's on Ramayama. It's on the fire horse. China. I mean, this is like, woo. Yeah, it's an initiation, and in fact, the Sabian symbol here even speaks of initiation. And we want to look at what that involves, what it's about, what it's for, and I want to say a little bit that we have to go back to the middle of May. The middle of May of 2025. Where were you? What were you thinking? Who were you with? What changes were, presented themselves at that time? Because that's when the sun was conjunct Uranus. Since then, it's gone around to a first quarter square, and then in opposition, and now it's in the third quarter square. And that third quarter square also has to do with non-conforming, a breaking free from socio-cultural, religious, family conditioning, which is actually what Aquarius is also all about. And, you know, Pluto in Aquarius now, we have a whole soul group of people incarnating, okay, now really from 2024 to 2044 with Pluto in Aquarius that have been working on this in the past recent lifetimes. So they're coming in already somewhat awakened, liberated, individuated, and this is really what Aquarius is all about. And how is this accomplished? This is accomplished through rising above into the witness, into the observer, into the third eye. Aquarius is fixed air, stillness, like I've been talking about here for a little bit. And not only stillness, but this total objectivity. That's what science is all about, is this objectivity. It's the opposite of Leo. Takes everything personal. You know, oh, it's about me. This is the exact opposite, where, you know what? This is not about me. In fact, I need to step back. I need to step out. I need to fly up above the fray, above the madness. That's what the mantra is about this week. And there's usually 3 different responses to this need to individuate, this need to liberate from the norm. And I want to say it's not only the norm. The root of Aquarius is I want to break free from my old crystallized identity, my patterns in relationships, in society, with the family, emotional, sexual, mental, psychological, these patterns that have become rigidly stuck in terms of who I think I am. This is the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is that you are not who you think you are. You get that? You have an ego perception, okay? Like I think I'm Kai Pacha, right? Or I think I'm Tom Lesher, or I think I'm, this, that, or the other thing. And the truth of the matter is that we are way more. We are deeper, wider, broader, more inventive. Uranus is our genius. Okay, so it's, and that brings me to the Sabian symbol, because it is the butterfly emerging from the cocoon. We are emerging from our old, constricted, restricted sense of self. And we need to become higher, wiser, bigger than we were. And it's a stretch. Aquarius 29th degree, the Sabian symbol, is a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis. The capacity to utterly transform the character of one's consciousness by radically altering the structural patterns of everyday living and the types of relationships one enters upon. Here, what is emphasized is the process of metamorphosis itself. It stresses the essential character of the activity required at this stage of the cycle. Nothing short of a complete renewal of all the implications of being alive as a human individual will do. You ever bring your car in for an overhaul? Well, the solar eclipse is bringing your head and your soul into the shop for an overhaul. A radical change is needed. At this stage, this change is individual and mental, and it should be seen against the background of humanity as a whole. What is revealed is the potential ability of every human being to participate in a higher realm of evolution after his or her emergence from a critical state of transition. In spiritual terms, this implies initiation, entering a higher realm of conscious existence, and there joining a sacred company. I cannot stress enough that this is a time period where there may very well be big surprises, political surprises, financial crisis. I mean, we already see Bitcoin has gone, yeah. The US dollar has gone, yeah. And we have, the threat of wars. We have ongoing wars. Okay, we have political, fighting, on the streets. I mean, there is a lot of chaos going on right now. And it can also be happening in your personal world, of your domestic life, of your family life, in your relationships, in your intimate relationships, in your business relationships. It can be happening, all over. And Uranus does this. Yeah, Uranus is the archetype of lightning striking, sudden, shocking. Uranus rules trauma, sudden, unexpected events. So I will not be surprised if there are some sudden, unexpected events happening on the world stage and also in my personal life. And the key is that it's not about trying to fix it. It's not about, blaming. It's not about being a victim. It's not about, really remaining who you are, right? And trying to change the world out there. If we turn this around, we're going to see that everything that is happening in our personal lives, in our social lives, in our, humanity, collective consciousness, it is all purposefully designed by a divine intelligence for us to see ourselves, our patterns, our complexes, our conditioning, so that we can change ourselves. And this chrysalis, right, and it is, Aquarius wants to break us out of crystallized, crystals are freaking hard. We have crystallized identities, and it takes a sledgehammer or a bolt of lightning to just kind of like boom, like bam, break. Yeah, like when you crack an egg to make an omelet. going with this chicken and egg thing, there's this whole thing, of like, okay, this eclipse is going to just like, it's like, wow, the world's a lot bigger than I thought, right? I had the image of a paratrooper, kind of being dropped out of the plane onto a battlefield, boom, and landing, and just like, needing to look around, right? Assess the situation and really take it in to see. And here is where it comes into personal self-adjustment. Mars is in conjunct Jupiter, okay? That is an adjustment in my direction, in my actions, and in what I do. So this time is an opportunity for each of us to change the way that we react, to change the way that we respond, to come from a different place of higher awareness instead of our old habitual reactive responses. It's time to creatively refashion ourselves and approach ourselves differently, our relationships differently, the world differently. Not try to remain the same and change the world. This is about changing ourselves and in some way stepping back, and letting go of, the world. Rising above like a UFO or a helicopter, right? This is like really the ascension process. Now, Aquarius works in one of three different ways usually. There is this internal instinct, a need to really break out of the old self and break out of social, cultural, religious, family conditioning. And this can be experienced as a desire to rebel and to just revolt, right? And to just, in some ways want to tear down the system or blow up the system or change the system. And this is what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, Aquarius, this is like, these are forces way beyond our control, okay? So, I mean, it's time to really be realistic and practical. I mean, and we can see, this Uranus and Taurus has a lot to do with finances. It has to do with resources. It has to do with personal money issues. It's, tax time over here in the States anyway. And, there's all kinds of adjustments. And of course, things going on over there, in the Middle East and the supply chain. There can be disturbances and price increases, inflation changes, all kinds of things happening, during these last final moments of my camera falling over. Yeah, it's windy out here too. So, lost the train of thought, but I want to go into these three different ways. The three different ways, number one, is to rebel and revolt and go off into the wild, okay? And, just kind of be in a place of, I'm out of here. And this is, this is one way of, individuating and tapping into your own unique place. In another level, and this is what's so strong about this being a north node solar eclipse, it means that the moon is close to the north node. And as such, she is very strong. Which means our habitual, emotional, fear-based responses will come up first. Okay? And there will be a strong emotional need for emotional connection and security. So the second way that the impulse works to individuate is to join a subculture, a subgroup, okay? And that, yeah, and that subgroup, like a community or, your tribe or your people, okay, you're going to get your emotional security needs met, but you're going to be outside of the masses, outside of the norm, and you're going to, go off grid and grow your own food or, whatever, this whole kind of, and I kind of see that as sowing seeds for the Aquarian age. We're really in this is like really the birth of this Aquarian age. Pluto going into Aquarius. And let's remember, this Aquarian age, it's a 2,160 year age. It doesn't just happen like that. I'd say we've got this 20-year period of Pluto moving through Aquarius. And now we have the moon's nodes coming into Aquarius for the next year and a half. And this solar eclipse in Aquarius, it's really upon us now to reinvent society, but we reinvent society by reinventing ourselves and then getting together in these other groups. The third reaction, and this is where it really gets dangerous, is that there can be a reaction against individualizing, against stepping back, right? And there can be a throwback to the past, okay, to where, I'm rejecting, AI and technology and the future and, all the things that are happening. I'm going to be Amish. I'm going to be a Luddite. I'm going to, get rid of my charge cards and my phones and my this and that. And I'm just going to totally. Or I'm going to maybe, I'm thinking also politically, this Make America Great Again, is kind of like really, in a way, stepping back to, let's build up our money and become a superpower and, separate and isolate. And this is a subgroup, right? We're going to withdraw from the world, Aquarian age, right? And kind of step back into the past the way it used to be, when America was number one. And this throwback to the past, can create this rigid adherence to the conforming, conditioning, childhood or whatever. And of course, that's going to be directly polarized and opposed to the other groups, okay, that are, wanting to, go another way and individuate. So that we have this, kind of increased polarization happening. And so, the other thing that really brings up for me is a couple of things. This is not a time to act. You may be tempted to react. You want to escape, you want to flee, you want to rebel, you want to just get out of it in some way, shape, or form. And that's going to be very strong, but it's a very strong emotional reaction. And we know the standard astrological interpretation of Sun square Uranus, okay, is, it's not a good time for making decisions. It's not a good time for, rebelling, revolting, breaking free. You have this strong desire to just fuck it all, and you'd be wise, okay, because it's a time of accidents. It's a time of extreme, unexpected situations arising. And yeah, there can be, electrical, mechanical. Uranus is your nervous system. I mean, this can be like even a nervous breakdown, right? I mean, it's just like we are not like in a stable state to really be making wise choices at this time. What we are in a very good state is to observe and to witness and to like see the whole big picture. I could go this way, I could go that way, I could decide this, I could da-da-da. Is this a reaction? Is this out of fear? Let's remember that fear is based in ego. Okay, based on the fear of death. So when we are reacting out of fear, oh, I need something stable, I need something solid, I need something secure. I'm going to go back to the past, or I'm going to let go of, anything that, upsets me. Get out of here. That's why in the mantra it is, just about really, absolute stillness. Stilling the mind. And then, this is very powerful because then we move into, the full moon. And that full moon is going to be a lunar eclipse. And that full moon lunar eclipse is going to be at 12 degrees of Pisces and Virgo. And so you see how we're going from Aquarius into Pisces. We're going from awakening and opening intelligently that third eye into the mystical spiritual realm of Pisces. And even now, it's so perfectly timed. The universe and astrology and the stars are so perfectly attuned, right? Venus, during this eclipse, is conjunct the North Node, the path of destiny. And Venus, is exalted in Pisces. Venus loves Pisces. Venus is love. Pisces is love. It is unity, spiritual oneness, and beauty, and selfless egolessness. So that North Node is pointing the way forward. And that Pisces is not about action. It's not about changing things. It's not about reacting or, it is about listening. Venus, rules hearing and receiving guidance from the spiritual world, from the soul world. So this is really so perfectly timed. And then when that full moon comes around, then it's going to be, you'll have had 2 weeks to integrate in stillness, in listening, and then the sun is going to be on the North Node, right? The moon is on her own South Node, and she's not as strong. She's weakened. So the solar purpose, your solar power, conjunct the North Node, boom! So hang in there for another couple weeks. Strategize. Objectively realize what in you wants to crack open. What in you, what do you want to emerge out of? What skins of the past do you want to shed? That's what this is really all about. It's about the inner work. And that's what my school is, I'm making it more about the inner work. I'm going to Amsterdam next week. I'm going to talk about inner work. I'm doing retreats in Switzerland and Corsica this year in May and June, and it's going to be about the inner work. These turbulent times of change, can be very distracting. And it's time where we really need to, immerse ourselves in this North Node of Pisces and do our inner spiritual work. So the song for this week, I'm thinking there's long time gone. It appears to be a long time. Such a long, 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 long time before the dawn. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Yeah, baby. Ow! The mantra for this week is, when life is crazy, uncertain, and shaky, I can overreact out of fear. But if I stay still, I know that I will hear the answers loud and clear. And I'm thinking that these answers, they're going to come through mysterious ways. It's like, it may be a painting. You know, you see a painting, and that painting has a message for you, right? You know, you have a dream, you know, or you see a movie or something, or in meditation while doing your yoga, right? And it can also come, you know, there is synchronicity. You know, it can come through, okay, you know, it could be a podcast, you know, it could be a little Instagram clip, right? You know, it could be your partner. You know, it could be a stranger. Like, you could overhear a conversation, you know, at the checkout counter, right? You know, and, you know, so, you know, just like really be super sensitized during this time, this weekend. Yeah, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in particular, right? You know, boom. Where know that you are supported. Life is supporting your soul growth. It may not feel like it. It may be painful. It may not look like it. You may lose all your money. It may not, you know, whatever, but truly, life and the soul are relentless, and they can really beat up the ego. I know mine's getting beat up. You know, it's like, it's humbling. Pisces is humbling. The North Node is humbling. So, you know, yeah, you may be getting humbled, but there's always the dawn. It appears to be a long time before the dawn, but the dawn is coming. Saturn moving into Aries is Saturn is slow. It's deliberate, objective, and mature. Actually coming into Aries, it's like a really good thing. We're kind of done with our disillusionment, you know, and just like, you know, everything falling apart. And we are beginning a whole new big cycle, a whole new age. But it's there for 2.5 years. And it's going to be, you know, it is just a time to really be deliberate, you know, be patient, but also firm as you step into the new you. Ow! When life is crazy, uncertain, and shaky, I can react out of fear. But if I stay still, I know that I will hear the answers loud and clear. Oh, baby, namaste. Aloha. So much love.